Hey TV fans, Bored now back with you, and on this video I'm going to try out a new show. So this is going to be the pilot episode to Swimming with Sharks. It is just called Chapter 1, the first episode. New Roku original, so Roku getting in the original drama series content game, and it's actually a free channel. Easy binge watch this one because just 6 episodes, and I think all of them are like 28 minutes, so under half an hour, so you can sort of watch this quite easily, unless it's something which you're really not gonna like, but otherwise it's an easy enough watch. The series is based on a 1994 film of the same title with Michelle Forbes, who I love, Frank Whaley, who I think's one of the guys from Pulp Fiction, and, well, yeah, it does star Kevin Spacey, who I'm sure is very good in the film, but, you know, it's Kevin Spacey. Hopefully, over the course of 6 episodes, it will give sort of a bit of fresh life and some twists to that original Hollywood type satire. I have seen the film, but I saw it like years ago, and I remember it being solid. I don't remember that much about it now, but I remember it at least being quite an enjoyable sort of satire with obviously a good cast, but it has been a long time, so I can't remember if it's anything really to write home about or not, but on paper at least this seems like a promising update of it. It's actually created and written by Kathleen Robinson, I should say, who a lot of people would know best from the Chucky movies, so bit of a scream queen. She also appeared in Beverly Hills 90210 and a few other things. So interesting that she's behind this project. She also has like a small role in it as well. So yeah, Kathleen Robinson dipping her toes into like writing with this. It stars Kiernan Shipka in sort of the lead. She plays like Lou Sims, who's like from like a small town like southern setting, and she comes to Hollywood as an intern. She's working at this sort of smaller, more independent type studio who have aspirations of like hitting the big time, and she's assigned to the office of the woman who runs the studio, which is Diane Kruger's character, Joyce Savage. See what they did there with the surname. And slowly but surely it's going to be about their sort of relationship. But at least on paper, like, Shipka's character is this very, innocent, naive, sort of ambitious girl who wants to work her way up the Hollywood ladder, but it comes from very modest sort of means, and at least the way she's presented for most of the first episode, we see then, yeah, she's maybe a bit naive to the Hollywood system and how cutthroat it is, how nasty, and we just get a sense of some of the politics in this episode. We get the sense then one of the plots is then this studio is in danger of losing like one of its star actresses to like a bigger rival who are offering them money or offering her money, Meredith the character's name is, then they just can't. You have a character played by Donald Sutherland who's like the CEO of the studio, but he's very ill and is like dying, and we can't keep her, we can't spend the money until he like croaks it, and like she kicks him out of the car. So although she's meant to be this, I think, quite high powered, shallow type CEO type, I think she does have some loyalty to this guy who has like brought her up. And you get different characters. You get like these two sharp looking like guys who sort of like put the interns through their places, and like one of them's like the Asian one is like a bit more grounded and likable. The other one, the Thomas Dekker character, is more, seems to be a lot more harsh and sharp turned and kind of has a bit like a bit of an ego to him, but it's an okay pilot. It's not bad. I think it's watchable. Obviously, they've cast it well. I think the cast make it watchable. I think what's interesting about it is then it does feel very standard, and I think a lot of this will be a test of it, whether it's just a case of sort of been there, done that sort of thing. Because I think a lot of like the humour or satire it's going for, not only has it been done before in like sort of Hollywood style satires, where nowadays it's got to the point where it's very hard for this stuff to be fresh or interesting, and the challenge is to sort of update it and do something a bit different. But also I think just this sort of thing where they're going for a very like fast-paced, shallow, millennial type humour, I think that's been done in so many modern shows as well, films as well. So it's very hard to actually keep this stuff fresh. Some of the jokes are better than others. You know, there's like a gag about Ryan Gosling's dick at some point from like the Deckard character. But some of the jokes are like okay. There's a line about because she shows up like half an hour late or something, and she says, that being the Shipka character, she says, you know, it said 9 o'clock, and one of them's like 9 means 8:30 type thing. But there's some okay stuff. There's some characters where we're not sure how to read them yet, because there's a character who she meets at like when she's getting coffee for like the staff, and because you get like this nerdy sort of character who's like says he's been on the lot for 6 years, and he kind of tries to hit on her in like a very patronising type way. And yeah, it's like this other guy sort of like kind of is nice to her and quite witty and sort of charming on the surface, and seems actually a bit more grounded, but it's whether he's actually what he appears to be, and he's one of the big sort of producers or assistants for like the Kruger character. Diane Kruger is sort of great casting for that role, and I mean at times she actually doesn't seem like as much of a bitch, although as Cindy pointed out on the stream, she did throw a shoe at someone at one point. But she's definitely a good, you know, presence and icy sort of performer for that sort of role, and can definitely bring some subtleties to the character as well. But it's watchable is what I would say. I don't know if I would say the pilot is that much to like write home about, but the twist at the end of the pilot is actually what makes it, you know, more promising moving forward, because we sort of see in some flashbacks then the Shipka character has like dark secrets. She has things in her past. She's not as maybe clean cut as she's like made out to be. We see clips of her like in an asylum at some point, or like some sort of clinic, like maybe she had drinking or drug problems. And we see her, and this is quite nice direction because it's intercut with the Kruger character, and she picks up this like homeless guy and sort of has sex with him. We kind of see that even though she's got like, I think it's like a fiance or like a husband, she's very like easily bored sexually, and she's very like demanding, so she just picks this guy off the street. But this is intercut with the Shipka character, who approaches like Meredith, the actress, in like a bar. Like she's been at the bar like having drinks with a couple of the other guys, and she approaches her in the bathroom, and it's a really sort of weird scene, but you can see where they're going with it, because she actually like locks the door and like seduces her. She does this really weird sort of thing where she like puts like a sweet down her pants, and then she kind of like puts it in Meredith's mouth, and it's okay, whatever turns you on, and they start having sex. So obviously she's gone after Meredith, and she's going to try and win her back by seducing her and win her back for the studio. So I think that's going to be the twist, and she's actually a lot more knowing, a lot more calculating than we're led to believe for most of the episode, because also the episode ends with when she was in this like clinic watching on TV like a speech from the Diane Kruger character, and we just see from that flashback then she's like not just idolise this woman for ages now, but become obsessed with her because she's like quoting back the speech. So I think from what we're seeing, because we're given a little sense of that like in the opening montage, because the episode opens with a speech from Shipka's character. And it's a little bit on the nose and a little bit like cliched, where she's just talking about like Hollywood and the appeal and like the romanticizing of it, and she's also, she's sort of talking in like things like, it can, because she talks about some of the bad stuff like greed and privilege and whatever, but she also talks about how it can be like celebrating like true underdog stories or like romance and that kind of thing, and I think it's just a knowing sort of monologue where it says this is not that sort of story. The end of the episode, and the episode itself was solid enough, but I think it's actually the twist at the end than this girl is actually less innocent and wet behind the ears. I think that's probably, I can't remember the film well enough now, but that's possibly one twist they're putting on it. I would have to think back, really, because the way these things normally work is that normally you get someone who comes to Hollywood and they're naive to it, and they're literally not prepared, and they have to go through the ringer, but then maybe later on they'll like get power, and then I think as part of like the satire they might start becoming too big for their boots sort of thing, and they might actually become like a monster, and that's sort of the satire that they're going for, whereas this is doing it the other way in a way, because it seems as though the Shipka character knows exactly what she's doing. It's just I think as a way to get people's trust and that, and sort of for a way to people, I think the tactic is that people will underestimate her if she plays it more sweet and nice, and she can go under the radar and then suddenly, maneuver a way up out of nowhere, because obviously approaching Meredith and seducing her in this way is part of that. So yeah, I think the way they're going is then we could have like a full-on she's gunning for like the Kruger character type thing, and I think that could play out and be a lot more interesting and exciting to watch. And I like Shipka, but I think this direction for the story and the character, where they're coming from, because I think she actually does do feisty like really well, fourth between her and Kruger's character. So that's the pilot of Swimming with Sharks. As I said, it's on a free streaming service, Roku, so you can check it out for free. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll certainly watch another episode. Your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll be back with more TV reviews soon. See you later, guys.